Red Sox have had themselves an offseason, to say the least. They have won, they've lost, and they filled holes that they had to fill going into the 2023 season. Free agency left a lot to be desired if you ask a whole lot of Red Sox fans, and I don't blame them, and I'm just taking the ones out where I can get them at this point. But I want the Red Sox to do more. The Red Sox have to do more. And I can understand that they want to compete now while still building to the future. And again, it's a very, very tight rope you have to cross or have to walk on when it comes to something like this. Because 2022 is kind of one of those bumps in the road, and how do you respond is really important. Seems like the Red Sox aren't very keen on trying to ship out a lot of the young talent that they have. On the opposite end of the spectrum, they're letting the fans know that they still want to remain competitive because they re-signed Rafael Devers. At least they did it now. 11 years, $331 million to be a Red Sox for virtually the rest of his career. For me, the Red Sox still have holes that need to be filled, and I can understand that this team, even though they made the right move on bringing Rafi back, and Rafi's going to be the focal point, I think he's going to be productive throughout the entirety of that 11-year contract. And I just think that there will come a time that he's not going to be the everyday third baseman. With that bat, that productivity, I don't think is going to shy away. Rafael Devers is going to be a productive hitter for the rest of his career. If he stays on this path that he's on, he's going to be one of the top hitters in baseball for a long, long time. They filled some holes with the pitching side. They got a legit closer in Kenley Jansen, which I would have been jumping for joy. I would have been a lot more excited about if they got him a few years ago. But obviously, hey, it's an improvement. You have a legit closer now to solidify the back end of that bullpen. They signed some starting pitchers. They signed Corey Kluber. James Paxton's going to be coming back. You signed Chris Martin as well in the bullpen. Rodriguez, I believe, who was from the Mets. They signed him. Chris Sale's going to be coming back, and I'm hoping that if he's healthy, he comes back and is some form of the player that he once was. I look at Chris Sale as just a question mark. I'm not sure what you're going to get with him, even if he is healthy. For me, the Red Sox, they are still nowhere near, I feel, in a position to be considered a threat, even in just in the AL East, because the AL East is, in my opinion, the most competitive division in all of baseball. I understand why the Red Sox didn't re-sign Xander Bogaerts, and I can go through a whole separate video of how much Xander meant as being the shortstop for the Red Sox, and it sucks to have seen him go, but by all means he went to go get the bag, and I don't blame him one bit for going to where the money was. And San Diego has the potential to be one of the better teams in the National League and compete with a lot of those big names and a lot of the big dogs over there. Marcelo Mayer, however you want to say it, I believe it's Mayer. Either way, Marcelo, the Red Sox are very high on. He's their top prospect. When I saw recently, he can get called up as early as next year, and he's a year younger than me. Understanding that fact that the Red Sox are so high on this kid is that they didn't want to lock themselves down with Xander Bogaerts as their long-term shortstop if it meant it was going to block Marcelo from being the everyday shortstop. I guess that was their long-term plan, is that they want Marcelo Mayer to be their shortstop of the future. And just judging Xander's reluctance to move off of shortstop, again, I don't blame him in Boston. I don't blame him, and it seems like in San Diego, he's going to be the starting shortstop over there. Looking at hindsight, I don't blame the Red Sox for not giving him a long-term contract, even though it sucks to say the least that he's no longer going to be wearing number 2 for the Red Sox. But if that's their long-term goal of having Marcelo Mayer be the everyday shortstop for us, then I can get behind that. If the kid is everything that people have been making him out to be, he's going to be a stud. What about the short term when it comes to up the middle, or just more specifically shortstop? What do you do there? Because if you move Kike Hernandez out of center field and you have him play either shortstop or second base, but I think Kike is a really good defender no matter where you put him. But for me, I would much rather him play center field because he's so good out there, and I feel just have him sticking around in center field, I feel is a lot more important. And I feel the Red Sox can fill that short-term hole at shortstop a little bit better and easier than going to get another outfielder. I don't believe the Red Sox are comfortable with Trevor Story playing shortstop at least at this point. But for me, if it means Trevor Story gets back to the player that he was in Colorado by moving him at shortstop, then you do it. But I think Trevor Story is gonna have a bounce back year as long as he remains healthy for sure. My proposition, if I was running the Red Sox's front office, my proposition is that you swoop in and sign Carlos Correa. Now I understand the whole thing going on with his physicals and the injury history that he's had and not being able to stay on the field very much. I know 2021 was his healthiest year, and obviously he was turning up. I think the Red Sox could at least get him locked down for 1 year and see how it goes. Even getting 1 year Carlos Correa would be absolutely awesome to watch. I think that Carlos Correa is one of the top players at that shortstop position. I feel the Red Sox could get Carlos Correa and just trying to shake that reputation that these guys aren't able to spend money or didn't want to. I feel with that Devers extension, it seems that they want to spend money, and at least that's my hope, that you would go out and get the best players available to make the team better right now. I understand that the Red Sox have been in the conversation of getting a legit number 2 starter. I do believe that the Red Sox will still improve. I do believe that there's still moves to be made on their part. There's a lot of questions at a lot of different parts of this team that still need to be answered. Depending on what moves are made, the Red Sox could have the potential to be up there in that conversation for the top team in the AL East, or just linger around mediocrity like they did last year. It gets me excited, the ideas of what could happen. MLB offseason's already been crazy enough. I'm anticipating the Red Sox to kind of have their offseason moment that doesn't include keeping a player that you should be keeping in the first place.